Were the Salem Witch Trials really caused by mouldy rye on bread? Let's get into it. So the Salem Witch Trials occurred in 1692 in the Massachusetts town of Salem. And from then until now, it's been a real head-scratcher and a mystery as to exactly what in the hell was going on. A group of young women, well, girls and children really, aged from 9 to about 20, 21, started accusing people around them of bewitching them, of witchcraft. And they would say that they could see their spirits attacking them at night and that they were being pinched and tormented and horrendously afflicted. They were called the afflicted girls. And on their evidence, what they said about these people who were witches and attacking them, they executed a load of people for witchcraft. What the girls said in court about being attacked and pinched, that was the main evidence against the people who were executed, what a bunch of kids were saying. But the mystery comes in, what the hell? Why on earth would a group of girls just suddenly, randomly, start accusing their neighbours and saying that they were seeing hallucinations and what on earth was going on? And it's never made any sense. And then in 1976, a graduate student called Linda Carprell put forward the theory that the girls' affliction was caused by mouldy rye that they had ingested, in particular, something called ergot, which grows on rye. This is it, this is ergot, and it grows on rye, and if you're not careful, it can get processed into the flour and then it goes into people's bread. Ergot poisoning is nasty as. Ergot poisoning can cause vomiting, muscle pain, weakness, numbness, itching, rapid heartbeat. It can cause gangrene, vision problems. It can cause hallucinations, spasms, convulsions, and even death. And here's the kicker. Ergot is a natural form of lysergic acid, which was synthesized to make lysergic acid diethylamide, or LSD, so it does cause hallucinations. So in 1976, when Linda Carprell published this, and again, she was only a graduate student, I think this is hugely impressive, this kind of made sense. The girls had clearly been the victims of ergot poisoning. That's why they were hallucinating. That's why they were having these horrendous spasms and experiencing sensations of being pinched. That must have been what was going on. And of course, it's the 70s, so LSD is already in the news. The idea that the Salem Witch Trials were caused by LSD, the story went completely crazy. But this theory was debunked the following month by these guys here, Spanos and Gottlieb, who basically took the paper apart in quite a systematic process. They pointed out that not only were the weather conditions in Salem at the time conducive to producing ergot, but also the hallucinations and the accusations weren't confined to Salem, they spread outside of it. And of course, here is the real key piece of evidence. You can't turn ergot poisoning on and off, which is what was happening in the Salem trials. These girls would be brought into a courtroom and all of a sudden start seeing visions and start being afflicted, and then they would stop again very, very quickly. Ergot poisoning doesn't work like that. If you're poisoned, you're just poisoned. And so for all of these reasons, ergot poisoning has been debunked as a cause of the Salem Witch Trials. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a very strong possibility that it's responsible for a lot of other stuff throughout history. For example, there's a disease called St. Anthony's Fire, which often turns up in the historical records. No one's been quite sure what it is, but it does sound an awful lot like ergot poisoning. But the afflicted girls at Salem were not the victims of ergot poisoning. The thing about Salem is that we just don't know what was happening there. It would have been great if there was this neat reason that they were suffering from this poisoning and that's why they were doing what they were doing, but we just don't know what was happening. And that's probably one of the reasons why the Salem Witch Trials are as infamous as they are, because there is just this huge mystery at the centre of it. But it's not LSD.